I still hear the knocking at night. Sometimes it's gentle, like a branch tapping the window. Other times, it's frantic like something desperate or angry or both. I moved 3 states away, but it found me. I don't know how. I don't know what it wants. But I know it's real. And if you think you're safe alone in the woods, think again. Hey, it's me. If you're new here, welcome to the channel where we don't just tell scary stories, we share the ones that keep you up at night. The ones that make you check your locks twice. The ones that make you wonder if you're really alone. If you've been here before, you know I don't scare easy. But tonight's different. Camping is supposed to be peaceful, right? A break from the noise, a chance to breathe in the pine and the silence, to feel small under a sky full of stars. That's what they tell you. But the woods have their own rules, and sometimes they don't want you there. If you remember the shadow in the pines case from last month, you know what I mean. But what I'm about to share tonight, it's worse. Much worse. 3 stories. 3 people who went into the woods alone. A solo hiker stalked by something not quite human. A camper who stumbled onto a ritual site that should have stayed hidden. And a survivalist who thought he knew every secret the forest had until the forest decided to teach him a lesson. One of these stories was almost never told. The survivor still refuses to talk about what happened after the sun went down. I had to piece it together from fragments, deleted posts, and a voicemail that still gives me chills. Some details I can't share not yet. Maybe not ever. So, before we start, let me ask you, have you ever felt watched in the woods? Comment below if you have. Let's see who's brave enough to listen all the way to the end. Because the woods remember. And sometimes, they don't let you forget. Let's start with the first story, one that still keeps me up at night. I went into the woods to be alone. That's how all the best horror stories start, right? But I wasn't looking for trouble. I was looking for peace. After the breakup, after the shouting and the slammed doors and the endless, echoing silence of my apartment, I needed to get away from everything. I wanted to remember what it felt like to breathe without thinking about her, to exist without the weight of someone else's expectations pressing down on my chest. So I packed my old canvas backpack, loaded up on trail mix and instant coffee, and drove north until the cell signal died and the road turned to gravel. The Pinewood National Forest. If you're from around here, you know the name. If you're not, you've probably heard the stories, people vanishing, strange lights, the kind of rumors that get passed around campfires and message boards. But I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to be alone, to walk until my legs ached and my mind went quiet. The first day was perfect. The air was sharp and clean, the kind of cold that wakes you up and makes you feel alive. The pines stretched up forever, their needles whispering secrets to each other in the wind. I set up camp by a little creek, the water so clear I could see the pebbles on the bottom. I made a fire, boiled some coffee, and watched the sun slip behind the trees. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. There's a rhythm to camping alone. You wake with the sun, you move slow, you listen to the world around you. I spent the morning hiking, following deer trails and old logging roads, letting my thoughts drift. I found a patch of wild blueberries and ate until my fingers were stained purple. I watched a hawk circle overhead, its shadow gliding over the moss and fallen logs. I felt small, but in a good way, like I was part of something bigger, something ancient and patient. That night, I lay in my tent and listened to the creek. The world was so quiet, I could hear my own heartbeat. I drifted off, thinking maybe I'd finally found what I was looking for. The first sign that something was wrong was so small, I almost missed it. I woke up just before dawn, the sky still dark, and heard footsteps outside my tent. Not the soft, shuffling steps of a deer or a raccoon, these were heavier, deliberate. I held my breath, listening. The steps circled my tent once, twice, then faded into the trees. I told myself it was just my imagination, that the woods play tricks on you when you're alone. But when I unzipped the tent in the morning, I found a single boot print in the mud. Not mine. Too big, too deep. I tried to shake it off. Maybe a hunter, maybe another camper passing through. But the feeling of being watched clung to me like a second skin. I went about my day, but every snap of a twig, every rustle in the underbrush made my heart jump. I started talking to myself, just to break the silence. By the third day, things got stranger. I woke up to find my food bag missing from where I'd hung it in a tree. The rope was still tied, but the bag was gone. I found it later, torn open and empty, 100 yards from camp. Something had dragged it there, but there were no animal tracks, just more of those boot prints, circling, always circling. That afternoon, I found marks on the trees near my camp. Deep gouges, like someone had taken a knife or a claw and carved long, jagged lines into the bark. Some of the marks looked almost like letters, but not any alphabet I recognized. I ran my fingers over them, feeling the rough edges, and shivered. I told myself it was just some bored kid, maybe a prank. But the woods felt different now, closer, darker, like they were holding their breath. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my tent, listening. The footsteps came back, slower this time, almost careful. I heard something breathing just outside the thin nylon wall. Then, laughter, soft, high-pitched, wrong. It sounded almost human, but not quite. Like someone trying to remember how to laugh, or mocking the idea of it. I froze, every muscle locked. The laughter faded, replaced by a low, guttural growl that made my skin crawl. I grabbed my flashlight and unzipped the tent, heart pounding. The woods were empty. The only sound was the creek, gurgling like nothing had happened. But I knew I wasn't alone. The next morning, I tried to radio the ranger station. My hands shook as I pressed the button. "This is Camp 14. I think someone's messing with my site. Can you send someone to check it out?" Static, then a tired voice crackled through. "You're not the first to report weird things out here. Stay put. Keep your fire going. We'll send someone by tomorrow." Tomorrow. I didn't want to wait until tomorrow. I packed up my camp, moving fast, stuffing everything into my pack. I decided to hike back to my car, even though it meant a long, hard walk. The woods felt tighter, the trees pressing in. I kept glancing over my shoulder, sure I'd see someone or something following me. Halfway back, I saw it. Just a glimpse. Between the trees, a figure, tall and thin, with arms too long and a face I couldn't quite see. It moved like it was made of shadows, flickering in and out of sight. I stumbled, nearly falling, and when I looked again, it was gone. I started running. Branches whipped my face, roots caught my boots, but I didn't care. I just needed to get out. The laughter followed me, echoing through the trees, growing louder, more frantic. It sounded like a dozen voices, all twisted together, calling my name. I burst into a clearing and stopped dead. My tent was there, slashed open, the fabric hanging in ribbons. My sleeping bag was torn apart, feathers drifting on the breeze. On the ground, in the dirt, someone had drawn a circle with those same strange marks, the ones I'd seen on the trees. In the center, my flashlight crushed, the plastic warped and melted. I heard footsteps behind me, fast and heavy. I turned, and the figure was there, just at the edge of the clearing. Its face was wrong, shifting, like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. It opened its mouth, and my own voice came out begging, pleading, screaming. I ran. I don't remember how long, or how far. The woods blurred past me, the trees all the same, the sky growing darker. I tripped, fell, got up, kept running. The laughter chased me, always just behind, always just out of sight. When I finally reached my car, I was shaking so hard I could barely get the keys in the ignition. I looked back, just once, and saw the figure standing at the tree line, watching me. It raised a hand, and I swear it smiled. I drove for hours, not stopping until I hit the first gas station with lights and people. I sat in the parking lot, trying to catch my breath, trying to convince myself it was over. But when I went back the next day with the ranger, everything was gone. No tent, no sleeping bag, no marks on the trees. Just the empty clearing and a single message carved deep into the bark of a pine near where I'd parked my car. "I'll see you again." I never found out what it was. The rangers said it was probably a prank, maybe a bear, maybe a drifter. But I know what I saw. And sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and the shadows are long, I hear that same laughter outside my window. If you think that's bad, wait until you hear what happened to the next camper. Have you ever felt like you weren't alone, even when you should have been? Maybe you're out for a walk at dusk or sitting by a campfire, and suddenly the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You tell yourself it's nothing, just your imagination, but deep down, you know something's watching. It's a feeling you can't shake, no matter how many times you tell yourself you're safe. I know a lot of you have your own theories about what's out there in the woods. Some of you say it's a cryptid, something ancient, something that's always been here, just out of sight. Others think it's something worse, something that wears a human face but isn't human at all. And then there are those who believe the forest itself is alive, that it remembers every footstep, every trespass, and sometimes it decides who gets to leave. If you've got a theory about what was stalking our first narrator, drop it in the comments. Was it a skinwalker, a wendigo, or something we don't even have a name for yet? I read every single one, and honestly, some of your ideas are scarier than the stories themselves. But if you thought that was unsettling, the next survivor found something in the woods that should have stayed buried. This story was almost lost forever, a post that went up in the middle of the night and was deleted just hours later. Some say it was taken down for our own safety. Others think the person who wrote it didn't want anyone else to know what they'd found. Story 2 comes from a post that was deleted just hours after it went up. If you're still listening, you're braver than most. Let's see how long that lasts. I've always been the kind of person who can't resist a no trespassing sign. Not because I want to break the rules, but because I want to know what's on the other side. That's how I ended up deep in the woods, miles from the nearest trail, chasing the thrill of untouched nature and the promise of something new. I'd been camping since I was a kid, but this was my first solo trip, just me, my pack, and the endless green hush of the forest. The first 2 days were perfect. I followed a game trail that twisted through stands of birch and pine, the sunlight flickering through the leaves like gold coins. I found a stream so clear I could see trout darting between the rocks, and a patch of wildflowers that looked like something out of a painting. I set up camp on a little rise, far from the main sights, and let the silence settle over me. There's a kind of peace you only find when you're truly alone, when the only sounds are the wind and the birds and your own heartbeat. I spent the days exploring, pushing farther off the map. I found old stone walls, half swallowed by moss, and the rusted shell of a car that must have been there for decades. Every discovery felt like a secret, a piece of the world that belonged only to me. I started to think I could stay out there forever. On the 3rd day, I found the clearing. It was late afternoon, the sun slanting low through the trees. I was following a deer path when I noticed the air felt different, heavy almost. The birds had gone silent, and even the insects seemed to be holding their breath. The path opened up into a wide, circular space, ringed by ancient oaks. In the center was a circle of stones, each one carved with strange, looping symbols. Scattered around the stones were bones, small ones, like from rabbits or birds, and a few larger, yellowed and cracked. There were feathers, bits of cloth, and what looked like melted wax. I should have turned back. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but curiosity won out. I stepped into the clearing, my boots crunching on the dry leaves. In the center of the stone circle was a battered leather journal, half buried in the dirt. I picked it up, brushing off the soil. The cover was scratched and stained, but the pages inside were mostly intact. The handwriting was frantic, slanted, and hard to read. The first page just said, "If you find this, leave now. Don't look back." I laughed, a little nervously. It had to be a joke, right? Some elaborate geocache, or a prank left by another camper. But as I flipped through the pages, the entries got stranger. There were sketches of the symbols on the stones, lists of names, and warnings scrawled in the margins. Don't stay after dark. Don't let them see you. The masks aren't for us, they're for it. I took a few photos with my phone, but the battery was almost dead. I slipped the journal into my pack, meaning to read it by the fire that night. I left the clearing quickly, the back of my neck prickling. The whole way, back at camp, I tried to shake off the unease. I made dinner, watched the sun set, and listened to the forest come alive with night sounds. But the clearing stuck in my mind. The way the air had felt wrong, the way the birds had vanished. I told myself I'd hike out in the morning, maybe report the sight to the rangers. Just one more night. That was my mistake. As darkness settled, I started to hear things. At first, it was just the usual creaks and groans of the woods, but then I caught the faintest hint of chanting, low, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. I thought it was my imagination, but it grew louder, closer. I grabbed my phone and started recording voice memos, just in case. My voice shook as I whispered, "If I don't make it back, tell my family I love them. I found something out here. I think someone's watching me." The chanting stopped. For a moment, the silence was absolute. Then, from the edge of the firelight, I saw a movement shape slipping between the trees, too tall, too thin. Their faces were hidden behind masks made of bark and bone, painted with the same symbols I'd seen in the clearing. They moved in a circle, never quite stepping into the light, always just out of focus. I tried to stay quiet, but my breath was coming in ragged gasps. I fumbled for the journal, flipping through the pages, looking for answers. One entry caught my eye. "If you see them, don't run. Don't speak. Close your eyes and pray they pass you by." I couldn't do it. I couldn't just sit there. I packed my bag as quietly as I could, doused the fire, and started to back away from camp. That's when I heard a voice, clear and cold, speaking words I didn't understand. The masked figures turned as one, their heads snapping toward me. I ran. The forest was a maze, every tree the same, every shadow hiding something worse. The chanting rose behind me, wild and discordant. I tripped over roots, branches clawing at my face and arms. I could hear them gaining on me, their footsteps impossibly fast, their voices blending into a single, inhuman wail. I stumbled into the clearing again, the circle of stones glowing faintly in the moonlight. The masked figures formed a ring around the edge, their eyes shining through the holes in their masks. In the center of the circle, something was moving, something that wasn't human. It was tall and thin, its skin stretched tight over bones that didn't fit together right. Its face was a blur, shifting and flickering like a bad signal. It reached out a hand, and the air grew cold, so cold I could see my breath. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. The thing in the center began to speak, its voice echoing inside my head, filling me with a terror I can't describe. The masked figures knelt, pressing their foreheads to the ground. The thing looked at me, and I felt something inside me break. I don't remember how I got away. The next thing I knew, I was running through the woods, the journal clutched to my chest. I didn't stop until I saw the first hint of dawn, the sky turning pale above the trees. I made it back to my car, shaking and filthy, my clothes torn and my hands covered in dirt. When I finally looked in my pack, the journal was gone. I searched every pocket, every inch of my gear, but it had vanished. All I had were the photos on my phone, and when I tried to open them, the files were corrupted, nothing but static and blackness. I still have dreams about the thing they called up in that clearing. Sometimes I wake up with dirt under my nails, or the taste of blood in my mouth. I don't go into the woods anymore. I don't even like looking at trees. If you think that's the worst thing you can find in the woods, the next story might change your mind. Some stories are too dangerous to tell. But if you're still here, listening after that last one, you're one of us, the kind of person who can't look away, even when you know you should. You're the reason I keep digging up these stories, even when they leave me double-checking my locks and sleeping with the lights on. Remember the Red Lake incident? The one where the water turned black and nobody could explain why. This next story has a similar vibe, something ancient, something that doesn't care if you believe in it or not. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know the woods have rules. Break them, and you might not get a second chance. I have to admit, there are details from the last story I couldn't share. Not just because they're disturbing, but because some things are better left buried. I've had posts vanish, emails go missing, even a few warnings from people who claim to know more than they should. Maybe it's all just paranoia, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. If you've ever found something in the woods that didn't feel right, you know what I mean. So what about you? Would you have stayed after finding that clearing, or would you have run? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see who's braver, me or my listeners. Our final story comes from a survivalist who thought he knew every secret the forest had. He followed all the rules until the night he broke the one rule you're never supposed to break. And the forest noticed. Let's see if you can handle this one. People always ask me if I'm afraid to camp alone. I tell them, the woods are only as dangerous as you are stupid. I've spent more nights under the stars than I can count, and I've seen every kind of weather, every kind of animal, every kind of mistake. I know the rules. Never leave food out. Never whistle at night. Never follow a trail you didn't make. The forest is a system, and if you respect it, it'll respect you back. That's what I believed, anyway. This trip was supposed to be a test run for some new gear, a high-end tent, a water filter, a lantern that could run for days. I picked a spot I'd been to before, a little clearing about 5 miles off the main trail, surrounded by old-growth pines and a creek that never ran dry. I set up camp with the kind of efficiency that only comes from years of practice. Everything in its place, every knot tight, every precaution taken. I even left a note in my truck with my exact route, just in case. The first night was textbook. I cooked over the fire, listened to the owls, and watched the stars come out one by one. I felt like a king in my own little kingdom, untouchable and alone. I even recorded a few notes on my phone for a blog I was planning. Day 1. No problems. Weather's perfect. If you're reading this, remember, never leave your lantern burning after midnight. It's an old superstition, but the locals swear by it. I should have listened to myself. It was just after midnight when I realized I'd left the lantern on. I was half asleep, the soft glow leaking through the tent walls, when I remembered the rule. I almost got up to turn it off, but I was tired, and the rational part of my brain told me it was just a story. What could possibly happen? I rolled over and let the light burn. That's when things started to change. I woke up to silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, suffocating kind that presses against your ears. The air felt thick, and the darkness outside my tent was absolute. I checked my watch, 3:17 a.m. I sat up, listening. No wind, no insects, not even the creek. Just the faint hum of the lantern, still burning on the stump outside. I unzipped the tent and stepped out. The world looked wrong. The trees seemed taller, their branches twisted into shapes I didn't recognize. The path I'd cleared to the creek was gone, swallowed by undergrowth. Even the stars looked different, scattered in unfamiliar patterns. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe I was just disoriented, half awake and dreaming. I grabbed my phone and started recording, my voice steady at first. Day 2. Something's off. The woods are too quiet. If anyone finds this, I'm probably just being paranoid, but don't trust the lights. I packed up camp in record time, every instinct screaming at me to get out. I tried to retrace my steps, but the trail kept shifting. Landmarks I'd memorized, an old stump, a patch of ferns, a fallen log were gone or moved. The forest felt alive, watching, waiting. I kept moving, marking trees with my knife, but the marks would vanish when I looked back. The sun never seemed to rise, the sky stuck in a perpetual gray twilight. My compass spun uselessly, the needle trembling. I started leaving more voice memos, my confidence unraveling. Hour 3. Still can't find the creek. I keep hearing whispers, but there's no one here. If you're listening to this, don't follow the lights. They're not what you think. That's when I saw the lanterns. At first, I thought they were other campers' soft, golden glows bobbing between the trees. Relief flooded me, and I called out, but the lights didn't answer. They just drifted, always just out of reach. I tried to follow, desperate for any sign of civilization, but the forest twisted around me, the trees closing in. The whispers grew louder, threading through the branches. They sounded like my own voice, echoing back my fears, my secrets, my regrets. I stumbled, tripped, and fell into a shallow ravine. When I looked up, I saw it. Standing at the edge of the ravine was something I can only call the warden. It was tall, impossibly thin, its skin the color of old bark. Its face was hidden behind a mask carved from wood, painted with symbols I'd seen in old folklore books, warnings, protections, curses. Its eyes glowed with a cold, green light. It didn't speak, not with words, but I felt its voice in my bones, a pressure that made my teeth ache. It pointed at the lantern in my hand, then at the sky. I understood, somehow, that I'd broken a rule. Not just a superstition, but a law older than the trees themselves. I tried to apologize, to explain, but my mouth wouldn't work. The warden stepped closer, its movements slow and deliberate. It reached out a hand, and I felt a coldness seep into my skin, spreading through my veins. Images flashed in my mind: other campers, other trespassers, faces twisted in terror, lost forever in the shifting woods. I dropped to my knees, begging. I promised to follow the rules, to never come back, to warn others. The warden watched me for what felt like hours, its eyes unblinking. Finally, it touched my forehead with one long, gnarled finger. The world snapped back into place. The sun was rising, the birds were singing, and the path to my car was clear and familiar. I stumbled out of the woods, shaking and half-mad with relief. But I wasn't the same. I see things now: shadows that move against the light, faces in the trees, whispers that follow me home. I can't go back. The forest let me go, but it marked me. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see the warden waiting, patient and eternal. If you're listening to this, remember, the woods have rules for a reason. Break them, and you might not get a second chance. Some of you have sent in similar stories: strange lights, lost time, voices that aren't your own. Maybe we're all just imagining things. Or maybe the forest is still watching, waiting for someone else to forget. I can't go back, but sometimes the rules follow you home. 3 stories, 3 survivors, if you can call them that. 3 true stories, 3 warnings. The woods are never empty, no matter how alone you think you are. Maybe you came here tonight for a scare, or maybe you're one of those people who can't help but look for the truth in the shadows. Either way, you've heard what happens when you step off the path, when you ignore the rules, when you find something in the dark that was never meant to be found. Let's be honest, maybe the scariest thing isn't what's out there, but what we bring with us into the dark. Our fears, our secrets, our need to believe we're in control. The woods don't care about any of that. They don't care if you're running from heartbreak, chasing adventure, or just trying to prove you're not afraid. Out there, you're just another story waiting to happen. So, which story haunted you the most? Was it the hiker stalked by something that could wear your face and voice like a mask? The camper who stumbled onto a ritual that should have stayed hidden and now wakes up with dirt under their nails? Or the survivalist who thought he knew every secret, only to learn the forest has rules older than memory and that breaking them comes with a price? I want to know what you think is really out there. Drop your theories in the comments. Was it a cryptid, a cult, something supernatural, or something we can't even name? And if you've got your own story, something you've seen, something you can't explain, share it. You never know who else is reading, or what you might help someone else survive. There are more stories I can't share, at least, not yet. Some are too fresh, some are still being pieced together, and some are better left in the dark. But if you want to hear them, let me know. The more you ask, the more I'll dig. Just remember, some things can't be unseen, and some doors, once opened, never really close. Next time you're alone in the woods, remember, you're never really alone. The trees have eyes, the shadows have memories, and sometimes, the things you hear at night are more than just the wind. If you survived this far, subscribe for more. The next story might be yours. Or maybe it already is, and you just haven't realized it yet. Sleep tight if you can.